In this demonstration, you learn how to build the pick list in the meeting detail view, and you also learn how to extend the meeting detail view model with properties required for the pick list. Let's switch to Visual Studio. The View folder of the Friend Organizer UI project contains the meeting detail view. As you might remember, we have a row definition in the grid of this meeting detail view that has a height of star. This means this row definition takes the leftover space. We will place our pick list in this row definition, and I have already created it. Here you see a grid that lives in grid row 6 of the outer grid, and this grid is our pick list. Before I show you the contents, let's take a look at it in the design view. This part of the meeting detail view is our pick list. The pick list consists of a list view that shows the added friends. These are the friends that are added to the meeting. It has another list view with available friends. These are friends stored in the database, but not part of the meeting yet. Then our pick list has the two buttons to add and remove friends from a meeting. Now let's go back to the SAML code and let's look at the details of this grid. As you can see, the resources property contains a data template for the data type friend. The data template defines how to display a friend. In this case, I just use a text block to display the property's first name and last name of a friend. Then you can see that the grid contains three column definitions. The first column definition is for the list view with the added friends, the second column definition is for the buttons to add and remove friends, and the third column definition is for the list view with the available friends. I have also defined two row definitions, one row definition for the labels and one row definition for the controls. Then inside of the grid you can see here a label added friends. Below that label I display a list view and its item source property is bound to the added friends property of the meeting detail view model. I will show you these properties in the meeting detail view model later as we haven't seen them yet. The selected item property of the list view is also bound to a property of the meeting detail view model which is called selected added friend. Then there is a stack panel with two buttons that are used to add a friend to a meeting or to remove a friend from a meeting. Later we will implement the logic that if the selected added friend property contains a friend, the user can execute the remove friend command. Then in the third column of the grid, the column with the index 2, I have also a label with the content available friends. In the same column there is a list view and its item source property is bound to the available friends property of the meeting detail view model. The selected item property is bound to the selected available friend property. Later you will also implement the logic together with me where we check if this selected available friend property is not null. If that's the case, the user can execute the add friend command to add this selected available friend to the meeting. So far to the meeting detail view. Now let's take a look at the meeting detail view model. Here I've opened the meeting detail view model. I have already added the logic that we need for the meeting detail view. So let's go through it. Here I've added two new private fields of type friend with the names _selected available friend and _selected added friend. These fields are backing fields for new properties in our meeting detail view model. When I scroll down to the constructor, you can also see additional code that I have added here. I initialized the two properties added friends and available friends with two new observable collections. As you know, the two list views of our pick list in the meeting detail view are binding to these two properties. I also initialized the two new properties add friend command and remove friend command with new delegate commands. These two properties are also used in the meeting detail view by the buttons to add and remove friends from a meeting. When I scroll down a bit, you can see the new properties add friend command and remove friend command that we initialized in the constructor. Here are also the new properties added friends and available friends. When I scroll down you can also see the selected available friend property, and when this property changes I also raise the can execute changed event for the add friend command. Only if an available friend has been selected, that friend can be added to the meeting. Then I have also created the selected added friend property, and here I raise the can execute changed event for the remove friend command. Only if a friend that has already been added to a meeting has been selected, the remove friend command can be executed. Now I scroll down and here you see the load async method. Here I have added a to-do comment, load the friends for the pick list. We need to do this later. Now let's scroll down to the end of this class, and here you see the methods for the remove friend command and for the add friend command. As you can see, we need to implement the logic when the remove friend command has been executed, and we also need to implement the logic when the add friend command has been executed. The canExecute methods are already implemented. Only if the selected edit friend property is not null, the remove friend command can be executed. And on the other side, only if the selected available friend property is not null, the add friend command can be executed to add a friend to a meeting. Before we start with the execute logic for the add and remove friend command, we will implement the logic here in the load async method to load the friends for the pick list. So let's do this next. In this demonstration, you learn how to load the friends for the pick list in the meeting detail view model, and you also learn how to implement the logic to add and remove friends. Let's switch to Visual Studio. Here I've opened the meeting detail view model, and you can see the load async method and the to-do comment load the friends for the pick list. As we want to display the friends that are added to the meeting and also the friends that are not added to the meeting, we need to load all the friends from the database. To access the database, we use the meeting repository in this meeting detail view model. That means we need to add a new method to this meeting repository to load all the friends from the database. I have already created this method for you. So let's open up the meeting repository. When I scroll down, you can see the new method getAllFriendsAsync. It just grabs the DB set for the friends and it calls toListAsync, which loads all the friends from the database. Of course, I have also added this method to the iMeeting repository interface, as this interface is used by the meeting detail view model. Now let's go back to the meeting detail view model. As we need all the friends, we can use here the meeting repository and its new getAllFriendsAsync method. I just store all the friends in an AllFriends field that I create. I press Ctrl- to generate this field _AllFriends in the meeting detail view model. Now when I scroll up, you can see our new _AllFriends field here, which is of type listOfFriend. Now let's go back to the load async method. After I've loaded all the friends and stored them in the AllFriends field, I call the setUpPickList method. This is a new method that I have added already. I right-click and I say go to definition. This method is already complete, so let's take a look what I have done here. First, I select the ID from the friends of the meeting model and I call toList. I store this list of friend IDs in this meeting friend IDs variable. Then I use the AllFriends field that we have created with all the friends and I call where on this field. I only want to select the friends where the friend ID is part of the meeting friend IDs. This means where the friend is part of this meeting. And I call the orderBy function on that query and I order by first name. So I have all the added friends in this variable. Now I also need the friends that are not part of the meeting. So I use again the AllFriends field and I exclude the added friends and I order again by first name. I store the result in this available friends variable. Next I call the clear method on the two properties added friends and available friends, which are of type observable collection of friend. Then I loop through the added friends list and I add each friend in this list to the added friends observable collection. I also loop through the available friends list and I add each friend in this list to the available friends observable collection. As you know, the added friends property and the available friends property are used by the list views in the meeting detail view. So now let's run the application and let's see if we can see some friends in a meeting. I open up the Watching Soccer meeting and you can see that the two friends Thomas Huber and Urs Meier have been added to that meeting. The available friends list view contains Erkan Egin and Sarah Huber, so I can still add these two friends to my meeting if I want. When I select an added friend, the button to remove this friend from the meeting gets active. When I select an available friend, the button to add this friend to the meeting gets also active. But when I click these buttons, nothing happens. So this is what we will implement next. We want to add and remove friends from a meeting. In the previous clip, we have implemented the logic here to set up the pick list, so we can get rid of this to-do comment. The last thing that we need to do in the meeting detail view model for our pick list is to implement the command handlers for the remove friend command and for the add friend command. So let's start here with the onAddFriendExecute method that is used by the addFriend command. I just replaced the to-do comment with a code snippet that I have already prepared. Here I store the value of the selected available friend property in the variable friend_to_add. I add this friend to the friends property of the meeting model. Then I also add that friend to the edit friends property of my meeting detail view model so that it appears in the list view in the user interface. I remove the friend from the available friends property so that it disappears from that second list view. Then I refresh the hasChanges property and I raise the canExecuteChanged event for the save command. Now I just copy this whole block and I scroll up to the onRemoveFriendExecute method. I paste this block also here. In case of removing a friend, I need to use the selected editFriend property because I want to remove a friend that has already been added to the meeting. I rename the variable from friend_to_add to friend_to_remove. Then I don't want to add this friend to the friends property of the meeting model, I want to remove it. I also want to remove it from the edit friends property of the meeting detail view model, and I want to add it to the available friends property of the meeting detail view model. I refresh hasChanges and I raise the canExecuteChanged event for the save command. Let's run the application and let's see this in action. I select the watching soccer meeting, and now I can select here a friend and I can add Sarah to the meeting. As you can see, she disappeared from the available friends and she appeared in the edit friends. Also the save button got active and I can click save. When I navigate away and I go back, we can see that Sarah is now part of the edit friends. But now she just called me and she said, no, I don't want to watch soccer on that Saturday, so I can select her and I can remove her again and I save the meeting and now it's like before. Now I also go to my Learn WPF meeting and I add myself here and I click save, so that at least one person is part of that meeting. Now let's continue and let's see how we can block the deletion of a friend if that friend is part of a meeting.